Chers auditeurs,
Dear listeners,
bonjour.
welcome to Comme d'Archi Podcast Season 7.
Saison 7, dans le monde fascinant des architectes.
And in the architectural projects.
Je suis Anne-Charlotte Deponte, passionnée d'architecture et docteur des universités en histoire de l'archi.
I am one of the spokespersons of Anne-Charlotte, who is a PhD in architecture history.
Merci
Thank you
d'être avec moi aujourd'hui.
to be with us today.
Et
And
maintenant,
now,
lundi en français, place au talent.
and Wednesday, let's talk projects. In English, of course.
Bienvenue dans Comme d'Archi.
Crossing the Nebula. Dear and faithful listeners, as I said in my modest digital greeting card available on the Comme d'Archi YouTube channel, may we escape the turmoil that plagues the earth today. Crossing the nebula. Forge a path, follow the light. Such are my wishes for all of us for 2026, nothing less, with the added bonus of love, elegance itself, and wisdom, the passion for the project, always creating. Before I continue, I'd rather warn you, this text is addressed first to those who, beyond labels, like to take the time to think, to connect, to doubt, to nuance, to those who don't consume ideas like slogans, but as materials to work with. This text does not seek to seduce quickly, nor to please everyone. It speaks to those who accept complexity, slowness at times, and depth always. That being said, what is the 2025 review for Comme d'Archi and what is the outlook for 2026? Here it is. In early 2025, we started with great energy. Our interviews with talented architects of all generations, the think tank agency, Philippe Rost and Antoine Picon for a top-tier duo, Nicholas Gilliland, Patrick Mogg, Jean-Baptiste Hurstel, the agency's LBBA, Zurich Tardio, Téchelette Architecture, Croix-Marie Bourdon, A40, Graal, The Urban Approach with Atelier Isla, Interiors and Zen Retail with Atom Associé, Merci, Héroïne, Sowen, Scenography with GSM Project, and Even Design with Baptiste Vandel, The Woman Architect with Anne Labroy, American architect Kevin Alter, before moving on to our castle this summer. Then, returning in September with the launch of Season 7, an additional video feature on YouTube about the superb Fabrique School in Marseille by Brenac and Gonzalez et Associés. Then, Laurent Pinon and his urban metamorphose. The joy of welcoming the great Mark Mimram and the talented Mariel de Quellin, ACMH architect. In 1 year, nearly 40 unique voices in the field of projects and design that drive us. So much uniqueness and shared emotion around the profession at each meeting. I also spoke up more and more, as you may have noticed, to sometimes express the profession's concern in the face of change, especially concerning trends that are synonymous with negation. For that, I used symbols, or expressions that defy labels, and I will continue to convey the symbols that belong to each people and not to the political field which only borrows them. We live in a free country where we are allowed to debate. On the other hand, harming others is still a crime here. Unfortunately, today we are living through the waltz of labels, and in reverse mode at that. Like the good guys become the bad guys and the bad guys become the good guys. The reign of the binary, moreover. And what's the connection with architecture, you might ask? For me, what is known as cancel culture is terrible. It infiltrates the very heart of a discipline with edifying roots. To build. Because history shows that radical negation has never produced a fertile culture. The French Revolution itself, emanating from the bourgeoisie, need I remind you, which wanted to make a clean slate of the old regime, had to very quickly reuse its structures, its roads, its cities, its buildings, its administrations. We changed the names, the symbols, the regimes, but we continued to inhabit the same forms, the same space, the same heritage. Even those who embodied great desire for transformation relied on what already existed. Napoleon did not invent administrative France from scratch. He took over the inherited territorial frameworks and networks to reorganize them. As for Haussmann's Paris, often presented as a brutal rupture, it was nevertheless part of a medieval and classical city that it traversed, recomposed, but never denied. The new thoroughfares showcased the monuments. Even great transformations are always born from a dialogue with what was already there. However, examples of negation can be found in certain mass productions of the 1960 seconds and 1970 seconds, born of an absolute faith in functionalism and industrial repetition. Large uniform complexes, blocks and towers, conceived as universal models, often placed without any real dialogue with the locations or their uses. Many have aged very poorly, as we know all too well, not for lack of technique, but for an excess of dogma, believing that a single answer could suit all territories, all cultures, all ways of living. They were built against the whole city, against history, against complexity, and that is precisely what made them fragile over time. So let's resume. At the beginning of our season 7, with a film coupled with a podcast on an exemplary building with the implementation of massive stone to face extreme heat at the Suity Les Fabriques in Marseille, designed by the BGA architects. Then we moved on to the SIPCA trade show, the low-carbon real estate exhibition, to then focus on rising sea levels with the exceptional experience sharing of Laurent Pinon, Urban Metamorphosis, because working assiduously on the problem of climate change has become a constitutive parameter of any constructive approach. Dear skeptics, it is high time to accept it. Afterward, we had the joy of welcoming Toby Witt, an architect practicing in the United States. And it is crucial for me not to stigmatize American professionals. His rich testimony also reflects the conditions of practice in his country and not so far from France on certain points. And we know very well that their situation always resonates on our soil. Perhaps being informed and clear-sighted could help us anticipate for once. But let's get back to our territory with the two recent spot formats that question a profession under threat from every direction. And I'm far from the only one who feels this way, defending its fundamentals against all odds. Both for the young generation of architects largely deprived of commissions, and for French architecture itself at all scales. And even if France and building, though essential pillars, become clichés in the eyes of a certain opinion. Here, we believe that the absolute necessity of taking care of what's already there in no way dismisses the state of the built environment as a whole. Unexpectedly, the interview with Mark Mimram brilliantly recentered the debate. However, I wanted to emphasize it again, and I have shown this extensively through the many dedicated interviews. I praise the approaches of the youngest agencies that tirelessly repair, reclaiming ancestral techniques to take them further. Here, a seaweed roof. There, a wall with hemp. Elsewhere, raw earth, an oyster shell floor, often with a timber structure, and as demonstrated by the half-timbered houses from the Middle Ages still present in the country, this materiality in architecture contains the very DNA of durability, with beauty on top, so never stop investigating this path, dear youth.
We stood in the moonlight, it's something sweet. Let it wash over all of me. With you I form my company. Forever close to the unknown. There's no doubts and no regret. Happy before we get another day to do it all again.
Recently, echoing this very subject, the interview I conducted with Maël de Quellin, ACMH, brought back an enthusiastic and serene message. The voice of a true professional. By reactivating on our airwaves a sort of unconditional love for the exceptional built heritage we enjoy in France. And since we believe that raising awareness of our heritage remains a priority, despite the explicit disinterest of some, I read it again recently in a post. Repairing territories in their ordinary fabric should certainly not erase the question of exceptional heritage. Besides, it didn't wait for the return to ecological practices to maintain the full range of know-how. Precisely, to strike a balance, let's return to contemporary creation. A creation that stands the test of time, a sign of a healthy nation capable of inventing again and again, with a recent issue dedicated to the return of Simi, looking to the future. Through the voices of the trade show, his director and a young associate from the iconic agency Deport Sampark. Here we provide some keys to the profound transformation of the real estate world in order to strengthen, equip people mentally to face the realities of the profession, notably a real estate sector undergoing its transition in France, fortunately, and which could come back all the stronger, but also potentially becoming hegemonic again for certain overly business-minded players, unfortunately on the architectural side, to the detriment of architects coming out of the crisis, and that's a point that remains worrying. Hence, the need for the architectural profession to consolidate and deliver a clear message, without, however, reducing either the prospective dimension or the repair of territories. And in 2026, the voices of the architectural world are about to resurface in Comme d'Archi with beautiful and iconic interviews. They are in the process of being made. It took us a little more time this January to get the machine going again. While in the past I opened my doors wide to many young people investing heavily to carry their message, the time has come for established expertise with substance, depth, and a lot of meaning. Young people are sometimes capable of tremendous maturity. Then they truly embody these values. Well, in general, podcasts mostly feature stars to shine brighter. Here, we have never entered into that logic and have always favored a plurality of perspectives. We will continue, but a high point is needed. Not that I'm a nostalgic boomer, which I'm not, by the way, since I fall into the Gen X category, but to take a step back without having to erase the 20th century because concrete suddenly bothers people. For my part, these gushing displays, meaning exaggerations, have never appealed to me any more than the overuse of any other material. The right material at the right time, in the right place, that's the sustainable rule. It's also not about pitting one generation against another to show off. I am a historian, let's not forget. And for a historian, each layer has its importance. The history of architecture is a clear example of this. Le Corbusier did not build himself in opposition to history. His travel journals from Greece and the East, his drawings of the Parthenon, his theory of regulating lines show how much antiquity nourished his thought. He didn't copy, he translated. One never becomes creative by being contemptuous. One becomes so by transforming what one has received. Building yourself against someone rather than with something is a dead end. Starting from the negation of the other to show off is building on emptiness. It gives the illusion of relief, but not depth. One never thinks better by erasing, caricaturing, or rejecting what came before. You only shine by contrast, never by substance. Yet the history of construction teaches us this clearly. The Renaissance was not built against the Middle Ages, but from it, by rereading its knowledge, its construction sites, its techniques, and also its mistakes. Brunelleschi did not deny the Gothic vault to erect the one at Santa Maria del Fiore. He understood it, surpassed it, transformed it. This is always how we move forward. Not by a clean slate, but by conscious sedimentation where each new layer holds only because it acknowledges the one that supports it. So, how do we continue to build in the broader sense, in a world that loves to destroy symbolically in order to exist? I hope through the mature expertise we will soon deliver to you to bring you new keys to advance in knowledge and always with conscience. Let's never forget, studied by astrophysicists specializing in the interstellar medium, nebulae play a key role in the birth of stars. A word to the wise, and Happy New Year forever. Dear listeners, thank you for listening. See you next week. Until then, take care of yourself. Goodbye.
Chers auditeurs, merci pour votre écoute. N'oubliez pas de retrouver nos sujets en avant-première sur Instagram à l'adresse @commedarchipodcast. Si vous aimez ce podcast, favorisez sa diffusion en lui donnant 5 étoiles sur Apple Podcast, plus un petit commentaire, ou sur votre plateforme de podcast favorite. Et surtout, abonnez-vous pour écouter tous nos épisodes gratuitement. À bientôt, et d'ici là, prenez soin de vous.